innovation, this is something new and innovative, it comes with a price tag and consumers are prepared to pay for this. So Dyson is spending £2.75 billion in the next 5 years. Hold on a second, somebody's knocking at the door. Why is not opening up in the developing countries in particular, where education is really important? Consumers are aware that their needs vary and they want, if they are prepared to spend their hard-earned cash.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Just Selling to Marketing podcast, a podcast where we analyze a brand, a story, a campaign, but most of all things marketing. If you haven't been following us over the last 2 seasons, you will see a little different in the format now. So from now on, we will bring a guest in every episode, a marketing or a brand expert, to talk about the journey or a specific topic. And for this episode, I would really like to welcome Dr. Nadia Lonsdale. She is the Principal Lecturer in Sustainable Marketing for the University of Brighton. Dr. Nadia, welcome, and thank you for joining us.
Hello everybody, so glad to see you today.
Thank you for joining us. We had the pleasure to work with Prachi and I to work with Dr. Nadia during our master's degree course at University of Brighton. Isn't that right, Prachi?
Yes, I will not forget that first lecture that we had. I think it was during COVID times. And I was attending online, Andre, for a brief period, I think. But when I moved to Brighton and I met Dr. Nadia in person, I think we had worked on British Gas. I'll never forget that project because if you remember Nadia, oh my God, Andre, I don't think the life project, I had never enjoyed a life project as much as I did with British Gas.
Prachi, such a warm memories of both of you. It was a really tough time, and here we are, virtual again.
Yes.
And I think it was our second British Gas project, and your group was fantastic. Trying to put on the sustainable ideas, how British Gas can innovate and move to net zero space in faster strides.
Yes.
And I'm really pleased to see you both thriving in marketing industry today. So when you asked me if I would like to join, I cannot say no to this fantastic opportunity. So thank you for having me. And it's such a fantastic, really journey to see you go through from studying marketing and now really practicing and being your guest and trying to learn something from you rather than vice versa.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Means a lot.
Yeah, and practically, we've always been very grateful for what Brighton University gave us, these connections. I think most of all, obviously, we learned and the knowledge we got from all of you, but it was the connection that we created during the course that's kind of special.
Yes, I completely agree. Nothing to be changed.
Yeah. And so we're here today to talk, obviously, about marketing, but I think one side of marketing, which is the innovation part of it, right? And when we talk about innovation, at least for me, one of the first brands that comes to mind is, of course, Dyson.
Yes, I think Dyson, when I saw it here, when I saw it in India first, I don't think Indian market had seen a hair product doing such at such a big scale, the innovation at such a big scale. And the service that they were offering, I think it was the service and more, not the service, but more of innovation. When they were demoing the project, I think they took a lot of master classes on how Dyson works, how do you make it work exactly. That was it was very new. So basically the market showing innovation, and that too with Dyson, was very new. And the way they were marketing, Dyson's marketing was also very different in India, because at that time, the trending things were UGC creators. The creators who would just, have like 2 lakhs or 3 lakhs of followers, they took Dyson. The Dyson as a PR was given to them, and they used Dyson and showed it to us. And when they did, the instant reaction of a consumer was to buy Dyson there and then, even if the price cost was way, way higher. It's priced at 50,000 INR, Dyson, in India. But here people are not thinking about how pricey it is. So indirectly in consumers' mind, Nadia, correct me if I'm wrong, innovation is equal to higher price.
Well, I think that's a really interesting one for Dyson. Dyson is not, when we think of innovation in
Yeah.
consumer goods, Dyson like pops into your mind and you're right.
Hmm.
But it is not a very old company, and it's really interesting how they ride on their success from, quite a recent success. They've only been founded in 1991. And you are right, when consumers think about innovation, this is something new and innovative, it comes with a price tag, and consumers are prepared to pay for this. And we can see this in brands not just like Dyson, but also Apple is a great example of that. Tesla is another great example of that. So consumers expect and are prepared to pay for that higher price. So that is a natural and something that consumers do. However, today we see something different. We see that consumers are expecting the innovation not only be new, useful, but also come at a reasonable price point. And we can see, for example, Dyson competitors like a Ninja Shark is really riding on that with their air fryers and their NutriBullet, that kind of stuff. So this is really interesting transition of innovation, something that I'm prepared to pay a lot of money for. I want to have a variety of innovative products where there is a different price point to be able to serve a range of consumers with their needs.
So it's an innovative product, so the consumer are keen to pay a higher price for that. But do you think the price point or the price strategy for the company comes from the first move advantage, which costs for the company to develop a new product or innovative product? It costs them more than just create more of what's already available on the market. Does that kind of connect to the price strategy?
Well, I think, of course, because innovation is, it's really, really expensive, and companies are prepared, need to spend that money. So Dyson is spending £2.75 billion in the next 5 years in their R&D across their portfolio of products, which is very interesting. And they somehow need to recoup that money. And you are right to say that it's a first mover advantage. If it's something truly innovative, they try to, skim that cream of the market to say, I'm going to charge as much as I can because consumers want it. And we all know that innovation curve comes in really quickly and consumers are prepared to pay for that. So yes, indeed, you're right. But I also think with the pace of innovation, the time within which companies are prepared or able to skim that cream of the market and consumers are preparing to pay for it is becoming shorter and shorter. So how quickly the competitors are coming, they are really interesting. If you think when they first introduced their bugless vacuum cleaner, they were able to charge that premium price for so long that they got used to it. But if we think about how quickly they introduced all of their cordless vacuums now, it becomes so pacey and the price difference is very, very small. So if I were to go and buy cordless V11, their vacuum, their flagship vacuum now, it's about, £500, £400, something like that. But the previous model is £299. And that makes consumers think, well, okay, I really want this new model, it's fantastic. But what is the difference between the previous model? And the consumers are thinking, well, they're trying to balance I really want this latest, the most amazing product versus, well, it's only doing this little bit of a difference into the previous model. Should I be paying that significant amount of money? So unless it's genuine, absolutely new product to the market that we haven't seen before, it is very difficult for companies like Dyson and others to justify that significant increase in their pricing to recoup that money from investing in developing this product. So it's a really tight rope that they have to walk on to try to get the money back for that they spent on innovation and to actually be able to continue to capture consumers' market. To say you still want to buy Dyson, you don't want to go and buy Shark or Ninja, etc. You want to stay with Dyson. So it's a really, really difficult way to continue get hold and convince the customers. And I think one of the ways that they're trying to do this is through pricing.
And
So yeah, it's an interesting one.
it is, yeah. And I think, especially with companies like, for example, Dyson or even Ninja, where they enter the market with an innovative product, but then they create this whole ecosystem of products that you as a consumer, obviously, once you bought from them, you invest a higher price in that product, and it matches your attributes. So you have a reward that the product you paid for does what it promises you, but also goes beyond. So you become a loyal consumer from that brand, and you want to have their whole ecosystem because you trust them now. So,
It's an interesting one. I think I think for me, in my mind, there's a really great battle example of this is Apple and Samsung. And they do this really well. But I think with Dyson, they are trying to do it quite cleverly. So they are having all domestic appliances, and I was surprised to see that they haven't moved into this into the air frying business. There wouldn't be a first mover advantage for them, but at least they could have done to cater and continue to hold on to the home care sort of market. They have the hair products, they have the Dyson itself. They tried to go into the electric vehicle market, which is trying to, that was a disaster for them. But I was surprised that they are not trying to capture more of home goods market. That was interesting. I know they're trying to develop the new Dyson models. They're trying to do air purification, and they're trying to do wireless headphones. But again, the question is, they're no longer first movers. So is it worth for them spending the money on trying to create the ecosystem for especially the homeowners? That actually makes me question whether they should be doing it or whether they should be looking into something a little bit more innovative that may be outside the home. Why not create something around the gardening house type of stuff that is not catered by the sort of competitors that come to mind straight away?
I think I agree with Nadia, because sometimes when you see their, for example, their hair range, their hair product range, when they launched it in the purple color, that became instantly popular because of its minimalistic approach, the things that the instruments they're giving for that much of amount. But at the same time, now they have launched a product again. It's the same product, it's just the color is different. They have put it in a golden color. The same product, everything is same. But instead of that product, now, as Nadia says, if they could have shifted that into the gardening or air frying business or something else, then it might have made a difference, because that did not get as much as response that it got as a first-hand purple Dyson product.
And I also think that if you look at them, their products last. So it is,
True.
the life cycle of a consumer is quite an extended one. So for example, remember when they first launched the hair dryers?
Yes.
That was a really good move. The first is they capitalized on technology that they had, and they it was fantastic in terms of the sustainability. It's still more environmentally friendly than others. Really interesting product, and they had a great response. But what we see today is that actually consumers are really slowly buying in that product, and they are kind of the victims of their own success because they drive in the longevity and repair arm of them. They say, we're going to repair this for you. You can buy refurbished products. You can buy modular system aspects of if the product breaks. It takes a long time for consumers to decide, actually, I need to buy another hair curler, hair dryer, or another vacuum cleaner. So it is difficult for Dyson to continue to entice the existing loyal customers to say, come, you need to buy another Dyson product, unless they create and innovate another product that would be welcome in the arsenal of Dyson, in the arsenal, in your home goods. So it is a really interesting challenge that they're trying to face. For example, maybe I think this may be the reason why they're moving into this sustainable farming business at the moment as well. So they're trying to see, okay, if we cannot compete in terms of innovation if what's happening in the home, can we move on to developing sustainable technology into farming? One of the reasons why they went into the electric vehicles, because they see the intensity of the competition and, of course, straight away the competition is intense, it also means that competition to innovate and produce new products for consumers who want new products all the time becoming really difficult. So they're looking into the industries where the innovation is slow to come in and still maintain that first mover advantage. So it will be really interesting space to watch. What are they actually doing?
True. I think so as we talk about sustainability, Nadia, so there are a lot of brands who are turning complete sustainable right now. And they're giving us hints as well. For example, not just Dyson, but Stella McCartney, huge example of being vegan again, being a sustainable brand again. So how important is it to market sustainability in today's world? Like, is it important that you shout out that you're a sustainable brand or show it through your marketing or actions?
Well, I think, because it is my baby. I think sustainability is super important. We only have one planet. Earth Day moves in closer and closer every day. But it is very difficult for brands to find that balance. Should they be talking about what I do or should they be just doing? And consumers are becoming a little bit more cynical. They no longer want just to hear about what brand does, but they want to see it with brand's action. And Dyson is, they are riding the sustainability message because when they first created the Dyson bugless cleaner, it was inadvertent. And, in 1990s, sustainability was not at the forefront of companies' thinking, but they have created this bagless vacuum that was more energy efficient. So, for example, the Airblades hand dryer is still the most energy efficient dryer out there, so which is fantastic. Their vacuum cleaner was, inadvertently sustainable. So we didn't need to produce new bags. They didn't need to disposal of the waste was easier, etc. And they are trying to move on to this renewable process. So it is that they need to do it. However, they no longer just need to say, we are using recycled materials, for example, and Dyson is really keen to highlight in their message how much recycled plastic is used in manufacturing of their products. But it's no longer enough. So, for example, they're not very transparent. In the process of preparing for this, I really struggled to find the consistent sustainability reports on behalf of Dyson. And that's the first question that would raise in minds of the consumers. Well, if you are so sustainable, why can I not check the facts and figures? What is your CO2 footprint? I can't check the individual products or, for example, the manufacturing process CO2 footprint. So, for example, they launched an initiative, really interesting one, to say that we will take the products that we have and we will recycle them for you. But it's only launched in Western countries and not at all of the Western countries at that. For example, only particularly in the EU, not so much in the UK and US and Canada. And let's not even talk about the developing countries where it would be even better. So consumers no longer want just the marketing. They want to see it in action. If you are so green and sustainable, like what Dyson claims, show me your CO2 footprint of your factories. Don't tell me that lithium is, found renewably. Highlight that you are in your manufacturing processes, that they have moved to developing countries to save cost. And in these developing countries, the manufacturing processes are more energy efficient, more energy intensive, and more CO2 intensive. So invest the money into this sustainable initiative. So this is a really, again, very tightrope for Dyson to walk. So, consumers want companies to act. They no longer want them to talk. And I think Dyson is caught up in that beautiful marketing message, and we cannot say that their marketing message is not polished. It is fantastic, and any brand who wants to see how it's done can take a leaf out of Dyson's book. Hand on the heart, and they working very similarly in this minimalistic design and understand the consumer marketing messaging. Great, but marketing messages are no longer enough, and they really need to step up their action for the consumers no longer say, I don't believe you, and I will go somewhere else because I no longer believe you.
It instantly builds trust factor as well. I think it instantly, there's a brand recall, there's a certain loyalty that you indirectly gain towards a brand. If you see the CSR report nowadays, I think Nadia, in our second season, me and Andre also talked about a brand called Codely. It's a skincare brand from France, and they are into sustainability. But the thing that we discussed right now, the messaging and the action and the difference between these two, I think they are more into action and less into messaging. So this is, I think, Andre, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think we realize that as a founders do a lot of CSR activities and they try and showcase that you're doing that for the brand.
That would be really nice for Dyson, I think, because it's an easier problem to fix. But for Dyson, I think, and it's also really interesting when we think about sustainability, when our consumers are there, they have different priorities for them in their sustainability messaging. So some consumers genuinely care that they want to save the planet and they want to do their little bit with their individual purchase for the planet, which is fantastic. And it's great for Dyson to have those initiatives like recycling, renewables, and they have this modular system where customers can reorder the parts that have perhaps been damaged, and maybe they want to renew their brushes, etc. This is a great initiative. But I think that also consumers are now thinking that sustainability doesn't limit it just to being green. What is Dyson doing in terms of the work for the local communities and for the societies, for education, for bringing women into tech? So I think Dyson has got a really fantastic opportunity here because they are targeting consumers that are keen on innovation. And it is likely that these consumers will have these innovative ideas spread not just to buying a better model of hairdryer or a vacuum cleaner, but they're also more likely to have an idea for a better and sustainable world. So perhaps Dyson could really put it together and think about, well, how I can combine and maybe segment my consumers for those who are interested in, I don't know, sustainability. We're going to talk about how sustainable Dyson vacuums are, because you don't need to buy the bags. They save on electricity, it's faster charging, and we do all those things, and this is how you help. So sending this individual message to the consumer, this is how you help to save the environment. In terms of their other hair care products, well, the first thing that maybe they should in their marketing, if I am to criticize them, this would be my main criticism point, is to say I think they're promoting gender stereotypes in here. Isn't it? So hair care products are for the women. So why men cannot have longer hair? Why men cannot blow dry their hair and kind of skincare stuff? So maybe they should concentrate and highlight that actually through their messaging that our products are for everyone, not just creating this gender stereotype. So maybe they could look at that kind of element of, and we're trying to maybe save children or people with the air purifying systems that they have, to highlight what they do and how it helps the environment, not just the consumer. So I think there's a little bit of play that they can do with the messaging of how these products that consumers would buy in any event. They're already aware of the environmental impact and societal impact, how they can link what purchasing of the product does to contribute to either social or environmental commitments that Dyson might do. So that's I think that would be a good idea for them to perhaps to take up in their marketing thing.
I love that. And the idea of giving back to the community, not so much as, like you said, environmental or the climate changes, all of those things that we are well aware, but what else Dyson can do to help the immediate consumer?
So they have the James Dyson Foundation there. So he gives, actually they do quite a lot of that for, they give grants out for educational grants. But again, that is limited to the UK. Why are we not spreading this to 65 countries where we can buy Dyson? Why is not opening up in the developing countries in particular, where education is really, really, really important? And it's such a fantastic opportunity for Dyson to give back to consumers who are paying the premium price, and that perhaps would highlight the redistribution of wealth, because people in the developing countries cannot afford Dyson products. Perhaps they may be selling more refurbished products that they brought from the Western countries in the developing countries to democratize and increase accessibility to this product. And of course, education is a priority for developing countries. Why not concentrate on that aspect? And it is really close to James Dyson's heart, and this is what he was really promoting in his company when he started it. So that would be an interesting one. Another thing he could think potentially about, the women in tech. That would be a great, the Dyson has been criticized quite heavily for gender imbalance in the company. So that is kind of well known, and there's no point talking about it. They can say, we're addressing this, but we're not just addressing this in the UK where we started our company. We're taking this beyond and moving this and really promoting this in the developing countries, giving women the opportunity to not only have a lower technical roles in the development of products, but actually promoting education in these countries. So that would be another way, perhaps, for Dyson to capture the market, democratize their products, perhaps increase sales as all companies want, but also to create the foothold for the company that is responsible and looking out for the local community. One more thing. With all this innovation for spending money on education, you don't know what kind of innovation they may get out of it, because all of that raw, untapped talent is waiting to prove themselves and be grateful for the opportunity they've been given. And of course, creating loyal employees. So yeah, that's lots of thoughts there for us perhaps to jump onto.
Yeah, and I think, Nadia, correct me again if I'm wrong, I think now the consumer are much more aware and much more demanding from companies on that perspective. So even though the product is good, if the company does not meet my CSI values, for example, I'm happy to change. I'm happy to jump on another product and use for another brand. And it's easy for them to swap brand A for brand B if my values are not met from a CSR perspective.
Yes, I absolutely agree with you. You are right, Andre, because loyalty is a very difficult commodity to come by. If you think about, even with us, if I open my tech bag, how many brands do we have in there? In the past, you would have had potentially be a loyal to one brand. Remember, we had all the days of Windows and everything you had was from Windows. Today, we have a variety of brands there. And we no longer are tied to a company. Yes, we are driven by we want all Apple products or something products, but it's no longer the case. And I think Dyson is seeing that. And innovation, I think, for them comes not only from continue to prove that they're creating products that are useful and capitalizing on the technological success that they have had, but also thinking about what can we create that genuinely adds value to our consumer, that consumer thinks that this is something that serves so many of my needs, that these needs are being served not just to make my day easier, but also these needs are help me to protect the environment and meet my higher needs, that not just mine, but also needs of my community. And these needs are becoming more and more intertwined. And it's why it's so difficult for brands to actually find a genuinely innovative product, while we, as consumer, demands new products more and more frequently. A genuinely new innovation is really hard to come by. So what we see now that, AI is now really changing that, and Dyson is investing in AI. I'm really not sure what they are investing in and what they're doing in terms of AI. That would be a fascinating thing to find out.
True, for sure.
But this is where we think, what Dyson is going to do, and I think it's gonna AI will help companies to make it cheaper to innovate and create new products, and also I think it will help perhaps to discover new talent and discover new technology and discover new innovation, and for on behalf of companies like Dyson, you need to future-proof yourself. So this is where I think the next innovation leap is how am I going to meet the needs of not just myself, but also of the individual, but also how can I integrate their awareness and their desire to help the people, help the planet, help the community. So I think we are going a really full circle here of a corporation is seen as a really important and as an individual, as a player in the society. So that is,
Yeah, and amongst all of those, they need to keep profitable. I think that's the real challenge.
Indeed.
For sure.
Indeed.
Yeah. Important. Most important.
Because it's never going to happen if we don't have the money. So that is becoming. So you can see how more and more difficult it's becoming for companies. And I think this is one of the reasons why innovations that we see from Dyson at the moment are incremental, if I could say that. So they're working on the products that they have already created. Yes, they're potentially new products like the cordless vacuum, because I think they were the first company who has introduced a cordless vacuum, like the air dryer, but they're still working within that cyclone technology. So what are they going to do in terms of new leap? Yes, lots of money, lots of time, lots of investment. But if we think about innovation and how they do it, when in 1990s, Dyson himself took 5 years to develop 5,000 prototypes to make sure that his vacuum, bagless vacuum is great. 5 years. Today, it's no longer a single-minded, single-person process. So it's how they bring in the other stakeholders and partners, including AI, to develop that innovation. And perhaps, shall we make it a citizen science? Maybe if they work with the community to find out what actually needs, maybe people need something that we don't know about. So that would be an interesting thing to see. How are they introducing and integrating with the use of AI, perhaps, they actually understanding the citizens and people who are using their product. Are there potential needs that are there that we simply don't know how to serve yet? So that's perhaps another avenue Dyson could work onto. And we see, for example, a third attempt now with the Meta and Google Glass and glasses. We see the Ray-Ban, that partnership is a great example of how two brands come to actually produce an innovative product to capture a need of the market. I want to be able to conveniently take photo videos, make calls, and look cool in my Ray-Bans. So perhaps we could see some opportunities for Dyson to collaborate with other brands to bring something together.
Yeah, no,
I think I agree because sorry.
No, go on, Prachi. That's fine.
No. Yeah. So just as we discussed right now, Nadia, we were just talking about Dyson identifying one need a few years back, that women, when they do hair straightening, they always put on a heat protectant spray and then do the hair straightening. Why? Because the straightener always has heat in it, which basically straightens your hair. They identified that women don't need that heat and launched their hair product in the same way, identifying that as a need a few years back. So it will be very interesting to see what needs they identify in the future.
Yeah, you're right, Prachi. I really find this so. Yeah, what are the needs that we have, but we don't know that we do? Well, we do have them. We just companies are just unaware how we can address them. That would be interesting to see what. And this is such a tiny thing. It wasn't really a need per se. It was an inconvenience for women to add something to be able to straighten their hair. So if we remove that, we make the process less time consuming, more efficient, more enjoyable, and healthier.
Sorry, I think Andre was saying something.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say about the needs. It's interesting when you touch on that, because we might not use so much in Brazil vacuum cleaner, but in the UK you use a lot. So it's the same audience almost, but different needs. So it is interesting, again, just touching on that. So maybe Dyson will take the leap and understand individual needs and maybe have different hubs of offerings or different products for different areas in the world. I don't know. It's just something that they might do to keep on top?
That's such a really interesting thought, because how we live. So, for example, in the UK, we know it's about home ownership and individual home ownership, and lots of carpets because it's cold. If we go to, for example, Brazil or India, it's hot, different climate, and lots of flats. So completely different needs. So does it need to be smaller? Does it need to be maybe one of those floor washing technology where we are concentrating that it adds maybe a cooling effect? So yeah, fascinating. It's really, really interesting how that will work, and what are they doing perhaps with they have the whole hub in the Middle Eastern countries, in particular in UAE, Dubai, Emirates. Another totally different need, so a lot vast spaces, but also still remain with the heat. Or maybe they would move into this cooling technology. Maybe they should concentrate on heat pumps, because they're already there with their technology of air cycling. So in the UK, we're seeing a lot more single people, and it kind of spreads across the entire globe. So, and then of course we see, does it work? People living together for longer. People are staying, particularly in the UK, they're staying longer with their families. Do they need a new dishwasher? Do they need a new Dyson? And of course, when people are finally moving in together, that's another really interesting idea. They probably have lived apart for sustainable amount of time. They may not need to buy another one of these new products. So how are they going to move and really adapt to these demographic changes is another really interesting question. So not only we're talking about the geographies, and we're talking about climate, which is a fascinating stuff, and the culture of the consumer, what they expect, their needs and norms, but we also think is really important is how consumers themselves are changing. So, I live on my own. Do I need a big dishwasher? Or do I need a small dishwasher? Do I need an oven for myself? How does that work? So that's going to be kind of this really wide societal change is an interesting one. And of course, a takeaway, the whole culture of a takeaway that is coming in, really sweeping the market. How much of the domestic products and things in the house we need is becoming will be another really interesting part to consider. We need to also think about what we're going to do.
That's right, yeah. It is fascinating, because the more you think, the crazier it gets, because it's true, yeah. Everyone is changing, the world is changing, the needs are changing, the dynamic of a social life is changing. So how the brand's going to keep up, or they're going to leave room for a new brand to come and take over that space, that gap that they didn't fit, right?
I think so, and I think this is what Dyson really should be watching out for. While they have this fabulous reputation of high quality and innovation, I think price is becoming more and more important. And I think the ability for companies like Dyson and other premium brands to continue to charge premium prices is really at an end. And what we see today is actually companies that, as you said, that come in and replacing the existing old solid brands. These are the brands that are coming at a cheaper price point. And Dyson needs to be very, very careful to maintain that innovation, but also be aware that there are, younger, snappier, hungrier companies biting at their heels, ready to serve the consumer at what is really important to the consumer, at the lower price point. Because with the cost of living crisis that is really spreading across the globe, consumers are feeling the pinch. And while they may want the Dyson, who doesn't? Because we all know how great it is, fantastic vacuum cleaner. I can only afford the Shark, and that's what they have to go with. So that is a really difficult balance for them to not resting on their laurels. And, £2.75 billion is a lot of money, but we need to think about how do we democratize that innovation and making sure that it is affordable. Because that's what will be always at the forefront of the consumer, the meeting of those initial needs. Yes, I need to vacuum my home, but I also need to eat and pay the bills. We are living in such a polarized world, and if there is an expression, the richer getting richer, and poorer are getting more poor. And I think the brands that can try to minimize or try to do something to bring about the limit that social distance, that growing social distance between social classes and those who have and those who have not, will do really well for themselves. And one of the ways we go back to full circle back to what we started our conversation with, to pricing, and pricing is becoming a lot more important for the consumers today. And we can see what happened in the American election, because nobody really cared about abortion. All they cared is the price of a dozen of eggs. And that because those needs are so immediate. And people who will win and the companies who will win are the ones who understand that first. Yes, I want to have all those nice things. I want to protect the environment. I want my community to be happy. I want women to get educated. I want all those things. But at the first and foremost things, I want to make sure that I am in myself as a consumer safe and secure, that my bills are paid and I have the food on my table and I have a job security. So as long as brands understand that immediacy over those needs and are able to fit and see, okay, savings are getting lower, we are having the people who are getting poorer but still want to have good things and make their life easier because they have to do 2 jobs instead of 1, how they're going to serve that market and how they're going to adjust with that market, I think is where the really golden nugget for them to continue to thrive.
Nadia, I think we're reaching the end of the episode. It was such a great conversation. Really, really good to hear from you and to catch up with you again and just...
Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, I'm gonna sign up and listen to what you have next. Give me a shout if you are interested in doing something again together. And hopefully we can invite you to maybe be our guest speakers at one of our events at university.
Hi, it's me, Prachi. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to check Nadia's LinkedIn in the description below. Also, make sure to subscribe or follow us wherever you are watching or listening to this, and please share this episode and leave a comment. See you again in 2 weeks. Bye.